Heartwarming revelation. Millionaire discovers abandoned twin girls in trash. Their incredible story will change everything. Jake Thompson stood at the edge of his childhood neighborhood, his heart swelling with a mix of nostalgia and purpose. At 35, he was a self-made millionaire, embodying the American dream. As he looked around, the vibrant buildings, peeling paint, and kids playing in the streets sparked memories of his own youth. This community had shaped him, instilling a belief in hard work and potential. Now, with his fortunes made in the tech world, he was here to give back. Today marked his first visit to the community center he had grown up in, now in desperate need of repair. Under the glaring sun, Jake was knee-deep in paint and laughter, volunteering alongside families who still called this place home. The air buzzed with stories, the kind that mingled joy with struggle. But amid all the laughter, something dark tugged at his spirit. As they began to clear the trash near the entrance, Jake's heart dropped. He approached the source of a faint whimpering and, horror-struck, found two tiny twin girls, no older than 5, curled up in a trash bin. Their eyes, sunken and scared, held a depth of pain no child should know. "Hey there, sweethearts," Jake whispered, his voice barely steady as every instinct surged to protect them. The girls flinched at first but gradually looked up at him, their faces streaked with dirt and fear. Jake carefully lifted them from the bin, his heart breaking for the innocence lost. The moment struck him hard. These girls were like reflections of his past, trapped in desperation. He rushed them to the local clinic for care, then to his home where he and his wife, Maria, shared everything. But handling traumatic pasts was more difficult than he imagined. "What do you want to name them?" Maria asked, her eyes glistening with compassion. "Lily and Rose," Jake replied, knowing they'd bloom in a better environment. As the days turned into a week, the twins began to trust him. They were fragile blossoms in a garden of love, and Jake was determined to build a strong family around them. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But cracks began showing in their newfound happiness. His wife and teenage son, Jake Jr., who had initially welcomed the girls excitedly, started voicing concerns. Conversations about privilege and identity sparked tension, and Jake felt the weight of scrutiny from all sides. A local journalist caught wind of their story, amplifying their plight into a movement. Community support poured in, igniting hope, but with it came the stark reality of social injustices. When a social worker appeared, armed with regulations and red tape, Jake's heart sank. "These girls belong to their family," the social worker stated, her tone final. All Jake could feel in his tight chest was fear as hope slipped through his fingers. In that moment, he understood. This battle was not just for Lily and Rose, but for every child in their community. Standing before a gathering at the community forum, Jake looked out at a sea of faces. "We need to unite," he called, his voice trembling but strong. "Change begins with us." Yet, as he felt the momentum of hope surround him, he couldn't shake the question that loomed over him. Would his dream of family unravel before his eyes? The fight was on, and at that moment Jake realized he had a choice to make. What would he sacrifice to protect the girls, and ultimately, what did family really mean? Jake awoke the next morning with a heavy heart. The sun poured through the curtains, lighting up the room but failing to lift the weight on his chest. He glanced over at the twins, still lost in slumber. Lily had curled up next to Rose, a small smile on her face, unaware of the storm brewing outside their little sanctuary. Maria entered, a coffee mug in hand, eyes brimming with concern. "Did you sleep at all?" she asked softly. Jake shook his head, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "I can't stop thinking about the forum. What if we lose them, Maria? What if their family shows up?" Maria went to sit beside him, putting her hand on his arm. We have to fight. For them and for the others like them. But we need a plan. You can't do this alone. I know, Jake replied, his voice thick with emotion. But I feel so powerless. The system, it's designed to fail them. How do we change that? Before Maria could respond, a knock at the door interrupted them. It was Jake Jr., his teenage face anxious. Dad, people are talking about the girls at school. They think we're just trying to help them for publicity, he said, frustration bubbling underneath. It's like they don't see how real this is for us. Jake looked into his son's earnest eyes. He could see the confusion and the shadow of embarrassment. I'm sorry you're dealing with this, son. It's tough. We all love Lily and Rose, right? Jake Jr. shot back, crossing his arms. Then why does it feel like we're adopting a charity case? Why can't we just be a family? The questions swirled in Jake's mind and pierced his heart. They were becoming a symbol. But what did that really mean? It was supposed to be about love, not labels. I promise you, Jake Jr., we're doing this because we love them. No matter what anyone thinks, he emphasized, letting his gaze settle on Lily and Rose, who now stretched and slowly woke up. They're not just girls we found. They're family. The twins giggled, momentarily easing the tension. Jake felt a warmth spread through him. The innocence he saw in them reminded him why this fight mattered. Mama, we're hungry, Rose chirped, her voice light and innocent. Jake smiled, leaning down to ruffle her hair. That simple joy ignited hope within him again. He knew he had to show his son, and the world, that their love was not flimsy or conditional. I'll make pancakes. Extra syrup? He called, making his way to the kitchen. The twins cheered, and for a moment, everything felt all right. As they sat together at the breakfast table, laughter filled the air. For just a second, everything felt normal. But outside, unbearable tension crept into his thoughts. The social worker's words echoed in his mind. They belonged to their family. He looked at the girls, at his wife, at his son. The struggle ahead felt monumental. But if he had resources and passion, then perhaps they could make a difference, not just in the girls' lives, but in their community. Thus began the brainstorming. As Jake started to sketch out his ideas on the back of an old envelope, each word felt like a stepping stone toward something bigger. The community forum had been just the beginning. They had to organize, to educate. They needed to fight for every child who felt unseen. Jake closed his eyes a moment, envisioning a space where every child, like Lily and Rose, could blossom. But strangely, just as he felt empowered, a thought nagged at him. What if the twins' family was not ready to let them go? This realization stopped him cold, and suddenly, a new tension gripped his heart. Could he fight against the ties of blood, even if it meant losing everything? As breakfast wrapped up, Jake looked at Maria and his son. We have to be ready for what's coming next. The determination in their eyes fueled his courage. They were all in this together. Yet Jake couldn't shake the feeling that their journey was only beginning. The larger fight loomed, and so did the fear. What would he sacrifice to keep these girls safe, and were they truly ready for the battle ahead? The smell of warm pancakes wafted through the kitchen, but Jake felt a gnawing tension in his stomach. He forced the worry away as the twins cheerfully dove into their breakfast, giggling and teasing each other over syrup-drenched stacks. Jake Jr. watched them, his expression a mixture of adoration and concern, and Jake knew this simple moment was fragile. After breakfast, the sun poured in, filling the house with warmth. But outside, a chill lingered, and Jake couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty that hung in the air. He glanced out the window, hoping for a sign that everything would be okay. Instead, he spotted a figure at the edge of the yard. A woman stood with her back to him, her silhouette framed against the light. His heart raced. Was it a coincidence? Or was it someone looking for the twins? He swallowed hard, the notion sending a jolt of fear through him. Hey, can you all clean up here? He asked, his voice wavering slightly. I'll be outside for a moment. Jake made his way to the door, stepping out into the crisp morning. The woman turned as he got closer, and he recognized her from the paperwork, one of the social workers involved with the twins. Her expression was serious, her eyes dark like storm clouds. Mr. Miller, she said with a tight smile. I need to talk to you about Lily and Rose. He instantly felt a mix of anger and protectiveness surge forward, burning in his chest. What about them? Can we sit? She gestured toward the wooden bench under the oak tree. Reluctantly, he followed her. It felt like the calm before a storm. Every word she might say could alter the course of their lives. I know you care about the girls, she started, looking down. But we have to follow regulations. Their family, her words hung in the air like a heavy mist. Jake's frustration bubbled up, cutting her off. I don't care about regulations. These girls need stability, and I can give that to them. They're safe here. She nodded, but her expression remained grim. I understand that, but the law is the law. We have to consider their biological ties. Their family might try to reclaim them, it's only a matter of time. Each word felt like an ice dagger, piercing straight through him. They belong with us, he exclaimed, fists balling in frustration. You can't just let them be swept back into a life of uncertainty. Jake, she said gently, their family has a right to be involved. Now that you've become a public figure regarding this, things will escalate. Jake sank back on the bench, the weight of her words sinking in. This battle wasn't just about him anymore. It was about all the families in similar situations, and everything he'd worked for could evaporate in an instant. What am I supposed to do? He looked into her eyes, desperate. I can't lose them. Fight for them, she replied, standing up slowly. But remember, you'll need support. Reach out to your community. They may rally behind you, but expect pushback too. She turned to leave, but Jake called after her. What if I can't win? You might not, she said softly, lingering for a moment longer. But if you fight with everything you have, it will be worth it. For you, for the girls, for the hope you can give others. Her silhouette faded as she walked away, leaving Jake with a heavy heart. His mind swirled with thoughts of Lily and Rose, of their laughter, of the love blossoming between them. Could he truly keep that safe from the hands of their family? As he re-entered the house, he saw the twins dancing around the living room, blissfully unaware of the world's chaos. But he knew the calm wouldn't last. What if their joy was a ticking clock, counting down to something he couldn't control? He grabbed the old envelope with his notes, staring at what he'd written. It was time to take every step possible, to build a network strong enough to protect them. Jake! Maria's voice jolted him back. Are you all right? He met her worried gaze and nodded, but inside he felt the stakes rising like an unquenchable fire. We need to act fast, he declared, urgency flooding his voice. It's time to mobilize the community. But would it be enough? The unmistakable truth loomed like an impending storm. He was racing against time, and time was not on his side. What would happen when their family came knocking? Jake could feel the weight of every word hanging in the air, and the laughter from the twins felt like a distant echo. Maria watched him, her brow furrowed with concern, her intuition sharper than ever. The boys were still oblivious, spinning joyfully in a kind of dance that only they understood, but the laughter seemed like a thin veil now, one that could shatter at any moment. He squeezed the edges of the envelope tighter, feeling the slight crinkle of the paper beneath his fingers. I need to gather our friends. I want to show the twins that we have a real family here, a community that cares. Are you sure that's the best move right now? Maria asked, biting her lip. Jake, the girl's family I know, he interrupted, desperation slipping into his voice. But if we can show everyone how loved they are, maybe we can keep them safe. We need to prove that they belong here, with us. Maria glanced at the twins, who had now started to pile cushions into a makeshift fort. They're happy, Jake. But it doesn't change the truth of their situation. The words pierced him again, and he felt the knot in his stomach tighten as he thought of what might come, the uncertainty creeping closer like a cold shadow. Tell people we're having a gathering, a community picnic, he declared, determination igniting within him. Okay, I'll get the word out, she said, her voice steadying. But this is going to be a big ask. People need to feel invested. I'll make them feel it, he promised, his heart pounding. I'll speak to everyone. We can show the girls they're a part of something bigger than themselves. As Maria phoned neighbors, Jake slipped back outside, sculpting a plan alongside the warm beams of the sun that seemed mocking in their brightness. He needed support not just for the girls but also for himself. He felt like he was standing on a tightrope strung over a chasm, every gust of concern threatening to send him tumbling. As he surveyed the yard, visions of the twins playing without care flickered through his mind. Those smiles meant everything, and he would do whatever it took to protect them. He heard the unmistakable sound of the school bus rumbling down the street, and his heart raced. Tomorrow would be monumental. He entered the garage, rummaging through tools and forgotten decorations. Some things were treasures from happier days. The kite from last summer that flew so high, the unused bicycle ready for its first ride of this year. Excitement bubbled inside him alongside lingering dread. Each item carried memories that spoke louder than the present chaos. That evening, the smell of cocoa wafted through the house. A calming smell that reminded Jake of evenings spent together, reading stories, building blanket forts, or simply sharing a moment of peace. The familiar warmth filled the air, but his heart beat fast against the backdrop of uncertainty. "Jake," Lily called, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Can we have a movie night?" "Of course," he replied, forcing a smile to match theirs as he sank into the couch beside them. As they settled in, surrounded by popcorn and soft blankets, Jake felt their joy seep into him like a gentle tide. Yet, behind that joy, a gnawing sense of urgency persisted. As the movie flickered on the screen, he felt the clock ticking louder, each second echoing the necessity of his plans. In the starkness of the room, with shadows dancing on the walls, Jake thought about the confrontation that lay ahead, his voice standing against a tide of regulations and life histories that could threaten everything he loved. It wouldn't be easy. In fact, it might be the hardest thing he'd ever had to do. But somehow, he had to believe that they could all stand together, united as a community. As laughter from the movie filled the room, he wrapped an arm around each twin, squeezing them tightly. What if, by morning, everything would change? What if their gathering could tip the scales? "Jake," Rose whispered as she cuddled closer, "do you think we can always stay like this?" The innocence of her question squeezed his heart. He didn't know how to answer. What if staying together was a dream too fragile for reality? Tomorrow they would face the storm. Whatever happened, he would fight tooth and nail to shield their love from crumbling in their hands. But would it be enough? The next morning dawned crisp and bright, the sky a stunning blue, as if nature itself was holding its breath in anticipation. Jake stood at the kitchen window, gazing out at the yard where laughter would soon fill the air. Today was their day, the day they would show the twins what family truly looked like. "Jake, can you help me tie the string for the balloons?" Lily's voice broke the silence, drawing him back from his thoughts. "Of course." He turned with a smile, the flutter of nerves still in his chest. As they worked together, the kitchen filled with the cheerful chaos of preparations. Sandwiches were stacked, drinks poured into coolers, and blankets spread out on the grass. In moments, the mundane transformed into something magical. The doorbell rang, and Jake's heart raced. Friends and neighbors began to trickle in. He greeted each one, his enthusiasm genuine but tempered by the thought that the gathering held more weight than simple food and fun. With every exchange, he held tight to the belief that this would be the moment they all connected. As the sun climbed higher, the smell of fresh-baked cookies wafted through the yard, drawing more families closer. The twins squealed with delight as their friends arrived, running off to join in the games and laughter. Jake took a moment away from the excitement, watching the joyful little scene unfold. But in his heart, he knew the uncertainty still loomed over them. How would he find the right moment to speak about the situation? The very thought made his stomach churn. "Hey there, ready for the big speech?" Maria approached him, a knowing smile on her face. He chuckled nervously, but a weight settled on his shoulders. "I don't know how to do this. What if it fails?" Maria placed a reassuring hand on his arm. "You won't fail. Love is contagious and they're already sensing it from you." He nodded, taking a deep breath. She was right. They had built something here, something bigger than himself or a single night, and with that thought, he steeled himself. As lunchtime approached, Jake gathered everyone. The chattering hushed as he stood in the center of the lawn, the children bouncing excitedly on their toes, eyes wide with curiosity. "Thank you, everyone, for coming." He raised his voice, feeling more alive with every word. "Today is a celebration of our community, of love, friendship, and the simple joys that bring us together." Everyone nodded, smiles spreading across faces. Jake stole a glance at the twins, their smiles radiant and carefree, and then he continued, his heart pounding. "As we eat and play today, I want each of you to remember that we are here for each other. There are families that need support, and together we can be the light for one another." The crowd murmured in agreement, a wave of understanding washing over them. But just as Jake was about to expand on his purpose, the sound of a car door slamming caught his attention. Turning, he saw a figure he hadn't expected: Tina, the twins' estranged mother, standing at the edge of the yard, eyes scanning the party. Jake Maria's voice trembled beside him. He felt a chill run through him, panic surging as he caught sight of the woman who had caused them so much worry. Her stance was a mix of defiance and hesitation. What was she doing here? Had she come to reclaim what she had once abandoned? The world shifted around him, the sound of laughter fading as he faced a new reality. How would he protect the twins now? Jake's heart raced. He cleared his throat, readying himself for what might unfold. "I need to speak with her," he said, each word feeling heavier than the last. As he walked towards her, everyone's eyes glued to him and the tension thick in the air. Jake realized that today wasn't just about celebration. Today might redefine everything. What would happen when he finally confronted the truth? Every step felt like a slow-motion replay, the laughter and chatter of the party fading to a distant hum. Jake's heart pounded, the world around him blurring as he focused solely on Tina. She stood there, uncertainty painted across her features, the same woman who had walked away from the twins and left an ache in all their lives. The distant echo of children's joy contrasted sharply with the heaviness in the air. "Jake," Tina said, her voice breaking slightly. She looked fragile, like a feather caught in a storm, torn between desperation and reluctance. "I didn't want to interrupt." He felt a knot tighten in his throat. "What are you doing here?" The question slipped out before he could filter it. His anger bubbled just beneath the surface, mixed with the fear of what she might say next. "I know it's awkward," she started, her hands twisting nervously, "but I needed to see them." "Was it just curiosity?" He shot back, the hurt mixing with fury. "You vanished from their lives, Tina. They've been through so much already." A flicker of pain crossed her face, and for a moment, he thought he saw a hint of remorse in her eyes. "I made mistakes. I know that, but I'm ready to make it right." Jake's mind raced. Did she even understand the gravity of her words? The twins had built a life without her, and now, she was here, digging into wounds that were slowly healing. "They've built a family here. A real one. We're happy without you." Her eyes glistened, and for a moment, he questioned if there was genuine regret behind them. "I've changed, Jake. I swear I have. I'm not asking to take them away. I just want a chance, a moment to prove I'm not the person I was." He hesitated, the tension surging like an electric storm between them. "Do you think you can show them love like this? Just showing up unannounced?" It felt like a challenge, a plea, and test all rolled into one. "What makes you so different now?" Before she could respond, a jubilant cheer erupted from the children. The twins ran past, their friends chasing after them with gleeful shrieks. They didn't see their mother. They didn't even know she was there. The sight twisted Jake's heart. He didn't want to burden them with this chaos, but also felt the weight of an impossible decision looming. "They don't need this right now," he said quietly, almost more to himself than to her. Tina's voice softened, desperation creeping in. "Please, Jake, let me just talk to them. I promise I'll be respectful." He scanned the yard, where all eyes were on him. Those who had been part of this joyful day were now witnesses to an unexpected confrontation. He could feel Maria's gaze on his back, anticipating his next move. The stakes felt unfathomably high. "Jake," Maria called out, stepping closer and taking his arm. Think it through. This is not just about you and her. It's about them, too. He turned back to Tina, her expression an impassioned blend of hope and fear. In that moment, a soft sigh escaped her lips, barely heard over the merriment just a few feet away. And yet, it was a sound that echoed louder than any laughter. "All right," he finally said, his heart heavy with uncertainty. "You get one chance. Let us not disrupt their day, but I'll give you 5 minutes." Tina nodded, gratitude sparking in her eyes, though he could feel a new tension brewing in his chest. Could this really end differently? Or was he setting them all up for heartbreak once more? As they turned toward the twins, the air felt electric with expectation. The laughter faded in his ears as he considered not only the potential joy or devastation to come, but what this choice meant for their future. What would the twins think when they learned the truth of their mother's return? Would it strengthen their bond or shatter it for good? Jake felt as if the ground had begun to tremble beneath him. He took a breath, steeling himself. The world was swirling again, amplified by the rising laughter and playful shouts of the children. But his attention remained locked on Tina and the weight of her presence. "Over here." He called to the twins, forcing himself to sound casual, although his heart raced painfully in his chest. Ella and Max, their faces alive with unreserved joy, hesitated for just a moment before bounding toward him, their laughter music that both soothed and tortured him. The moment they reached him, their expressions radiated pure happiness. "Dad!" they exclaimed in unison, their arms wrapping tightly around him. He squeezed them back, the intense warmth of their little bodies grounding him, giving him the strength to face what was about to happen. "Hey, you two. I want to introduce you to someone," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. They looked at him curiously. The excitement dimmed a shade as they noticed the unfamiliar woman standing just behind him. The atmosphere shifted instantly, like the weather turning from sunny to stormy. "Who's that?" Ella asked, her brow furrowing slightly. Jake's mind raced, searching for words that wouldn't shatter their innocence. "This is your mom." Max's eyes widened, and Jake saw confusion flicker across his son's face. "But she left, right?" Before Jake could respond, Tina took a step forward, her eyes wide with emotion. "Hi, my loves," she said, her voice trembling. They stared back, the twins caught in a whirlwind of emotions that Jake had never wanted them to feel. Jake could sense their hearts thumping, their little minds trying to make sense of the woman standing in front of them. Finally, Ella spoke, her voice small. "You came back?" "I did. I'm so sorry for everything. I missed you both so much." Tina's voice cracked, the sincerity undeniable. Max looked up at Jake, his eyes pleading for answers, support, anything to navigate this sudden change that had invaded their lives. "Can we go play?" he asked, hoping to escape the heavy moment. Jake's heart twisted painfully at the innocence of his son's request. "Yeah, let us play," he said, forcing a smile, hoping to shield them from the chaos that had just entered their lives. Tina's hand hovered in the air, reaching toward the twins but falling short. "Wait, please. Don't go," she said, desperation spilling into her words. That plea hung in the air, thick and suffocating. The twins glanced back at her, uncertainty etched across their faces. "Mom?" Ella ventured cautiously, taking a small step toward her. The uncertainty turned into hesitation as they sought confirmation. Another layer of emotional complexity revealed. "Are you really back?" Jake's heart dropped, caught between his protective instinct and the hope that flickered in Tina's eyes. He felt as if he were balancing on a tightrope, unsure if they would find solid ground or plunge into chaos. "I am, if you'll let me be," Tina said, anxiety breaking through her facade. Jake wrestled with emotions he thought he had under control. What would the twins choose? He watched them, their small faces a mixture of hope and doubt, and realized that even if he wanted to shelter them from this conflict, they had already entered a new chapter. "Do you want to spend some time with her?" Jake asked softly, looking down at them. The question hung in the air like a delicate thread, waiting to be severed or embraced. Would this be the time for healing or heartbreak? Tina's gaze locked onto the twins, And in that moment, Jake felt the weight of 1,000 decisions crash down upon him. Could he allow this reunion? As the twins exchanged glances, uncertainty brewing, Jake prepared for the answer that could redefine their family once more, for better or worse. What would they choose, and how far would he be willing to go to protect them? Ella glanced at Max, her small brow knitting together. "What do you think?" she whispered, uncertainty coloring her voice. The moment felt suspended. The crowd around them faded into a blur of laughter and running feet. "I don't know," Max admitted, his voice barely audible, but filled with a weight that belied his age. Jake felt like he was holding his breath, each second stretching endlessly. Tina, desperate for a connection, knelt down, bringing herself to their level. "I promise, I won't leave again," she said, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I love you both more than you know." "Do you really mean that?" Ella asked, her childlike innocence colliding with the intense emotions swirling around them. Jake watched as the twins shifted between their mother and him, a grappling tug-of-war he had never wanted them to face. Each time they looked at Tina, Jake saw a flicker of hope sparking in their eyes, but he also saw the shadows of confusion and fear. "I want to play with her," Max finally said, but his voice was tinged with uncertainty. "But I don't want you to go, Dad." Jake felt his heart tighten, the realization that the comfort of their family unit was teetering on the edge. "I'll be right here," he assured him. "You can play with Mom and I'll be close by." The words spilled out, desperate to keep the fractures from widening any further. "Okay," Ella said slowly, and the cautious hope spread across her face like sunlight breaking through the clouds. "Can we play tag?" Tina smiled, the worry lifting slightly from her features. "Tag sounds amazing. I used to be really good at it." The sight of Tina's smile brought a rush of forgotten memories rushing back to Jake. Laughter in the house, family adventures, and carefree days. He felt the warmth, but it was mixed with fear of what it meant for their small world. With a nod from Jake, the twins dashed off, their laughter echoing through the park as they began playing tag with their mom. The scene felt surreal. The air shifted, and though he watched them weave through the trees, joy felt distant, like a mirage. Jake remained where he was, still caught in the web of emotions tangled within him. He could hardly breathe. Part of him wanted to jump in, to chase after them, to ensure everything was okay, while the other half needed to observe from the sidelines, hesitant, afraid of the chaos rediscovering Tina could unleash. Moments passed as he watched the three of them, Ella and Max darting around their mom, their laughter ringing out like a song. Tina was tentative but slowly found her rhythm amidst the playful energy of the twins. With each shared giggle, the walls he had built began to show chinks. A part of him surged with hope, yet another part remained anchored in doubt. What would tomorrow bring? Would Tina stay? Would she slip away once more, leaving ghosts of what could have been? "Come on, Dad. Join us," Ella yelled, breathless with excitement, beckoning him to join the new game they had started. Jake hesitated, grappling with the decision to step into that joyful circle. Was he ready to let this feeling of togetherness seep back into their lives? Or was it only a temporary illusion, one that could collapse at any moment? "Just give me a second," he called back, his heart clenching. Would he ever truly trust her again? He watched the scene unfold, and a small voice within him whispered that this could be a new beginning. But what if it all ended in heartbreak once more? As the twins erupted in giggles, the moment hung heavy with unanswered questions, and Jake felt the pull of the past clashing with the promise of something new. Could they find their way through the chaos? Or was the pain still too fresh to heal? With uncertainty clouding his heart, he sighed heavily, standing at the precipice of their future. The sun began to dip below the horizon, casting a warm golden light over them, and he wondered, was this a moment of healing or merely a prelude to upheaval? The laughter rang out like a song, mingling with hope and heartache. What would tomorrow bring? Would it bring clarity or take them down an unexpected path? Jake took a deep breath and stepped forward, his feet moving almost against his will. The urge to join in the game of tag was unbearable, but the weight of his doubts still clung to him. As he approached, Ella twirled around, her spirit untouched by the complexities of adulthood. "Dad, you're it!" she exclaimed with uncontainable joy, her eyes bright and her laughter ringing like bells. Max joined in, tugging at Jake's shirt. "Come on," he pleaded, bouncing on his heels. The innocence in their voices reached right into Jake's heart, pulling him no closer to a decision on whether to guard his heart or embrace the moment. With a shaky exhale, Jake finally smiled, letting go of some of the weight that had anchored him down. "All right, but you all better watch out," he shouted, a playful grin breaking through his hesitation. The twins squealed, their laughter cascading through the park as Jake began to chase after them, the three of them darting through the trees like leaves caught in a gust of wind. For a few fleeting moments, time melted away. He felt alive again, reminded of sunny days filled with simple joys, the way their giggles harmonized with the sounds of nature, the warmth of their little hands in his. They played under the dimming sun, exhaustion creeping in as they slowed, sitting together on the grass. Tina approached, her eyes reflecting shifting emotions ranging from despair to hope. She sat down beside them, and for the first time that day, Jake met her gaze with cautious anticipation. "I'm really happy right now," Max said, his voice breaking the silence. "Can we do this every day?" Jake felt a flicker of longing, something he had pushed away for so long. He turned to Tina, searching for answers in her eyes. "Can we, Tina? I want to," she whispered, her voice shaky but sincere. "I don't want to miss a moment with you guys. I want to be here." An uncomfortable silence stretched between them, heavy with more questions than answers. Jay's heart raced. Could she mean it? Was this a promise, or just more empty words? Ella, sensing the tension, leaned against her mother, resting her head on Tina's shoulder. "Can we be a family again?" she asked softly, her small voice breaking through the awkwardness. Jake instantly clenched his fists. The fragility of their family unit felt like glass, ready to shatter. He swallowed hard, feeling the weight of expectations pressing down on him. "Ella, no," Max interrupted, his voice gaining strength. "I want it. I want a family." Tina's eyes glistened, and Jake felt caught between the fierce hope in the children's eyes and the flickering doubt in his heart. Could they really make it work? "We need to talk tomorrow," Jake said slowly, the gravity of his words hanging heavily in the air. "Talk?" Ella echoed, worry spilling across her features. "Yeah," he replied, forcing a smile to reassure them. "About how we move forward." As the evening deepened, Jake watched the colors of twilight wash over them. The world was fading into shadow, and yet, hope felt palpably close. Where would this lead them? Could they truly rediscover their love? Or was happiness just an elusive will-o'-the-wisp? The night began to settle around them, casting a spell of uncertainty that left him breathless. And deep inside him, a question stirred. Would tomorrow be the moment they all hoped for? Or the day all their fears came crashing down? The first rays of dawn spilled into Jake's home, illuminating the kitchen with a soft, golden glow. Jake stood by the window, the weight of the world pressing down on him. Last night's conversation with Tina echoed in his mind like an unfinished symphony. He hadn't expected her to return, and now everything felt hung in a delicate balance. "Today's the day," Jake whispered, almost as if to reassure himself. He glanced back at the twins still sleeping peacefully in their beds. Their little faces were serene, untouched by the complexities of adult life. For the moment they were simply children. The thought tugged at his heart, igniting a fierce protectiveness within him. No matter how this day unfolded, he would do everything in his power to shield them from hurt. Maria entered, her eyes softened by the night's rest, bringing with her the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. "You all right?" she asked, concern lacing her voice. Jake nodded, though the knot in his stomach didn't relent. "Just thinking about today. We have to make the right decision for them." She moved closer, placing her hand on his. "We will. Just remember, we're all in this together, no matter how tough it gets." Her words grounded him. He pulled her into an embrace, grateful for her unwavering support. They quietly shared a moment, and in that exchange, Jake drew strength from the love they both felt for Lily and Rose. As the sun climbed higher, the day began to bloom with possibilities. The backyard was already filled with the laughter of children, the thrill of yesterday's games hanging in the air. But in his heart, Jake knew today was different. Today would help define their path forward. When the twins finally woke, their enthusiasm lit up the room. They hurried down the stairs, bright-eyed with excitement. Pancakes! They shouted in unison, a beautiful melody of childhood joy. Jake couldn't help but smile as he joined them at the table, serving their favorite breakfast. But as they chatted amongst themselves, his mind often wandered to what lay ahead. Would Tina accept the family dynamic they had built? Could she fit into the life they had created, a life that revolved around love, unity, and healing? After breakfast, the time finally came. The living room felt charged with expectation. "We're meeting Tina at the park in an hour," Jake announced, watching the twins eagerly exchange glances. "Will she be nice?" Lily asked, her innocence stirring an ache in his heart. "She's trying to be better," Jake said, swallowing hard. "But she needs to prove it to us." As they drove to the park, tension coiled tightly in Jake's gut. He stole glances at the twins in the rearview mirror. Their faces reflected innocence, yet he could only see the weight of uncertainty behind their bright eyes. Arriving at the park, the bright colors of the playground seemed to taunt him. Children were laughing and playing, a world unaffected by adult worries. Jake felt the storm brewing. He was ready to face whatever awaited them. "There she is," Max shouted, pointing to Tina, who was standing by the swings, fidgeting nervously. Her smile was cautious, hesitant. Jake took a deep breath, stepping out of the car. He felt the warmth of Maria's hand on his back as they approached. The twins flanked him, their little hands clasped tightly together. "Hi," Tina said softly as they arrived. The way she looked at them, part hopeful, part terrified, set Jake's heart racing again. "Hi," he replied, his voice steadier than he felt. "We're here to talk." With that, they sat on a nearby bench, the tension palpable. Jake initiated the conversation. "We want you to be a part of the twins' lives, but not at the expense of what they've built here." "I understand," Tina said, her voice thick with emotion. "I've wasted so much time. I don't expect everything to go back to normal overnight, but I need to show them I can be a better person. For them." The twins shifted nervously at her words, confusion hanging in the air like mist. "Ella, Max," Jake said gently, "what do you think? Do you want your mom involved in your lives?" The twins looked at each other, the bond of their shared experiences illuminating a connection deeper than words. "What do you think, Ella?" Max nudged, pulling her focus back to the conversation. "Can we try?" Ella asked, her voice soft. "Mom, I want to know you, but I'm scared." Tina nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. "I promise I'll work hard not to disappoint you again." "I think we can try, too," Max added, his small hand reaching out instinctively to his sister. Jake felt the walls of his heart crack open just slightly, allowing hope to seep in. "Every family has a chance to grow," he encouraged, knowing that they were beginning to reshape what that meant for them. It was still fraught with unknowns, but Jake could see small sparks glimmering amongst the shadows. "Let us explore this together. It won't always be easy, but we can take it step by step." As they spoke, the laughter of other children filled the park. In that moment, Jake sensed a shift, a lightness in the air. They were embarking on their new journey, together as a family with everything that word encompassed. They would face the storms and endure the uncertain paths, but they would do so united. As the sun set, casting a warm, golden glow over them, Jake felt a tranquil calm wash over him. Whatever came next, they would confront it together. The burdens they once carried were now woven into their story, a tapestry reflecting resilience, love, and the power of second chances. "Let us make a plan," he said, his voice steadier than before. "One that includes all of us. Together." Tears of joy sprang to Tina's eyes, and Jake saw his twins nodding in unison. A new chapter was dawning, and they were ready to write it, united as a family. And as they walked home, hand in hand, Jake knew no matter the hurdles to come, they had already overcome the greatest challenge. They had chosen love, and love would light the way. Now remember, if you want more stories that inspire change and transformation, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now if you believe in the power of second chances, and comment below your feelings about this journey. Don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together we spread hope.